Hey everybody, we're live. Sorry for the delay. Things have not been going quite the way we wanted, so we'll have to reschedule with Suzanne. There was some miscommunication there, but hopefully everybody who is in, I appreciate you joining. We've got Anthony from the channel Broski4u, and we've got Logan on as well. And actually, we've got WotanSauron as well joining. So, hey, man, thanks for joining.
Okay.
So just real quick, because we're not going to have an actual debate. Just wanted to do a quick discussion. The thing I kind of wanted to talk about is this idea of ex-vegans, and I'll share kind of my thought on it, and then maybe just everybody can chime in and see what you guys think and how you treat it. But my argument for somebody who goes vegan, and they always fit kind of this pattern. A lot of them will tell you about health problems that they had. I think that's the most common thing that I see, that people will say like, oh, I got sick, or I got deficient in this, that, or the other. Most times when I see problems, what I see is that people are just under eating. So they're just simply not getting enough calories, and they're going to get, kind of like low energy, or they're not taking B12. So they have low energy, that kind of thing. And I think, usually it's like if you try to tell them something like, oh, listen, you're kind of doing it wrong, no matter how politely or nicely you say it, that's kind of the message. And people take offense to that. And, my kind of analogy that I want to say to people is, look, if you had somebody who was a vegan their whole life, and they were raised from birth to be vegan, they get to the age of 18, they go off to college, and they decide for whatever reason that they're going to start eating animal products because, whatever. If they just went and started eating McDonald's every day, and that was their diet every single day, every single meal, and then they started developing some health problems, and then they went, whoa, like I'm getting sick. It must be this carnivore diet or this omnivorous diet. It must be all the animal products. Like I'm going to go back to a whole food plant-based diet. And then they made a blog about it or a video about it. And they said, look, I tried the omnivore diet, and it was like, it made me sick. I got all these problems. And, if you showed that argument to this same kind of person who's an ex-vegan, would they take that as like legitimate? They're going to say, no, that guy did it wrong. Of course you're going to get sick eating McDonald's. Of course you're going to get sick like eating, milkshakes every day for breakfast. And, but in the reverse, they think it's completely normal. They think it's completely normal for somebody to say, oh, well, I've been eating an omnivorous diet all my life. I went vegan for a month or three years or however long, and they did it wrong. They did a really bad job of it. They didn't eat enough, or they didn't get, the right kind of foods. And then if you try to tell them politely, like, well, you could have done something a little bit better, then they take offense to it. And I think that's kind of like, the way I view it. I don't know, like maybe we could just go in order. Like Anthony, do you want to comment on that?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's just like, can anyone hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So my take on it, it's like when I hear something about ex-vegans, it's just like either one, maybe they were inconsistent, like obviously like you said, and then there's also peer pressure. Like, let's just say you're out with your friends, and let's just say your friends supposedly said something to you about like, that you're vegan or something else like that. And then it kind of gets to your head, like, I should probably go back just to like, just fit in. It's like, no, your friends should like, totally 100%, respect the fact that you're vegan. And that's simply just my take on it.
Mm-hmm. Logan, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, so two things. I think, oh, there's a little hole over here. I don't know what this is. I think this is a rodent hole here. Let me see this. Something lives in there. Something lives in there, folks. Anyways, okay, so what I was saying is there's two things. One thing is that everything is in your brain, right? So your whole life is based off what you make it, right? So everything that you do is going to be your life. And most of the time it's just a routine. You fall into routines, or you fall into just whatever you've been taught. And anything that seems crazy and new and you haven't been doing it is going to just blow your mind. And people will just convince themselves that it is bad for them, even though it's not. And they'll be worried about things that aren't even true. Like they'll be worried about, oh, I'm not getting enough protein. It's making me feel tired because I don't have enough protein, or I don't have enough this, or oh, it's like I need the meat, I need this, I need that. And it's just all in their brain. And they've just convinced themselves that they're not how they should be, and they need to go back to what they were doing. Just kind of like any addict will go back to like cigarettes or whatever it is because they need it, right? And then also, what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, and then also the other thing is that it does take a good year for your gut flora to adapt to a new diet, right? So when I went vegan at first, I had bloating issues, all sorts of issues, and I was like, oh, this sucks or whatever, but I stuck with it. And then I kind of took out a little bit of mock meats here and there, things that I was eating, and adjusted, and then it was way better. And what is it? Is that deer scat there or bear scat? I'm worried now. I'm worried, folks. Okay. It's not a bear because there's bears around here. It's too small to be a bear. But yeah, so people need to wait like a good full year for their diet to adjust, their body to adjust to their diet, and then they'll feel better, because I felt way better after a full year of being vegan. And yeah, they're gonna have to adjust their diet. They're gonna have to deal with social pressures. They're gonna have to deal with a lot of things, and it basically just takes a basic understanding of nutrition. You have to do some research, and you have to have willpower and like character and strength and discipline, or else you're gonna fail at like everything you do. Like most people can't go vegan because they can't even go to the gym for 6 days in a row without quitting. You know, there's no drive. That's what I think.
Yeah, lack of dedication. All right, cool, man. And Wotan, what do you think?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
I don't know, man. It's just, I think all the arguments for, you know, eating animals have just been completely refuted by now. Obviously, since the case this guy named Meteor Man, he has he got scurvy, which is like a completely, like, who has had scurvy in the past like 100 years? I thought that disease has been like completely eradicated, and this guy got scurvy.
and he's not the first one too, man. I've been reading about different people like online posting blogs and stuff. Same kind of thing, man. All these raw meat eating people getting scurvy.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
around.
I looked into it, and that's because humans can't develop their own vitamin C, so we actually have to eat plants in order for us to get vitamin C, because we can't synthesize it ourselves.
Yeah, Sparinge and Meteor Man are all eating fruit and stuff right now. They're going back to the fruit.
Yeah, I heard Sparinge, he was in an interview with somebody, and he was like, oh, I eat fruit and stuff. I'm like, oh, why eating fruit if you're such a carnivore? You know, why do you need to eat fruit?
He claimed it was poisonous. He said it was poisonous in a bunch of videos. Now he's eating it. Yeah,
he said, oh, he was allergic to it or something. Like he was allergic to some kind of fruit or something. Like, and now he's eating it. So it's like, it's just absurd. You know, like, I don't know, man. Yeah. I think I've heard every argument that there is for it, and it's just doesn't exist.
And what do you say personally to somebody who says like, oh, I tried it and it didn't work for me? Like, what's your argument? What do you tell them?
Well, they're probably eating mock meats. They're probably, you know, very casual about it. They're probably, you know, just eating like rice or something. Like, people who do it, like, you need to understand the whole argument for it, and then you really understand like what you need to eat. You know, you look at the farm animals, how bad they're being treated. You look at our digestive system, how we're designed to eat, what we're designed not to eat, and then it's just, then you really look into it, and then it becomes more like a passion, and then you really want to, what do you call it? Study, like learn, and you know, what do we, how do we get all our nutrients? You know, what nutrients do we need?
Yeah, and what do you guys think about like how difficult it actually is to get all the nutrients you need? Do you guys do like a food diary? Do you track your food? Do you look at stuff like, am I getting enough whatever, zinc, iodine, whatever?
I honestly don't. What I do is like I just eat foods that are high in zinc. Like randomly, I'll eat just starting walnuts, or if I like the B12 thing, I honestly don't even take any supplements at all. I don't take anything. I just eat B12 fortified foods.
What about the rest of you guys? Anthony?
I just want to ask, what are the B12 fortified foods that you eat?
Mostly nut
Like
milks
plant
and
milk?
nut milks and nutritional yeast.
Just curious.
Like where I get my B12, I simply take this.
Sorry, Anthony. I think we lost you there. Can you say it again?
Pea protein.
Oh, okay, pea protein. Yeah, I take a chewable tablet because like I eat some stuff that is fortified, but not consistently enough that that I would want to rely on it. Like some of the plant milks here have it as well, and some of the yogurts. But
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Plant milk.
Yeah, but like some of the yogurts that I get, like I don't eat them very regularly, so like sometimes I'll have like a couple in a week, and that's probably not enough, or maybe it is, I don't know, and I just don't want to leave it to chance, so I just take like a chewable tablet, just to be sure. That's what we do for our kids too.
Yeah, and every nutrient that's in animal products that they say is exclusive to, you know, animal products, like every nutrient, like a mineral like phosphorus and zinc and what's it called, the one that's in salt, iodine,
Yeah.
B12, they say that all of these are only in animal products. Well, that's not true. It's also in the soil. So like if we were eating back then, you know, all these root vegetables, we would just pull it out of the ground and it would be covered in all the soil. We get all our phosphorus and all of our calcium and all these minerals that we would be getting.
Yeah.
So,
and with those especially, I find that it's actually pretty easy to get them. So like the things like zinc, if you eat oatmeal, you get like tons of zinc. Like I have a bowl of oatmeal just about every day, so like I don't even worry about that.
yeah, and lots of nuts have it also.
Seeds are also good as well.
So what do you think about soil depletion though? Because soil's so depleted because of humans now, you know, tampering with soil and destroying everything that you're not going to get iodine and things like that you would have before. Is that it? Do you think that's an issue?
I kind of think it is. Like I'm very opposed to kind of like factory, you know, farming in general. So even like not just animal factory farming, but like large scale agriculture is just bad. You know, they do things that are kind of like unsustainable, simply just for the logistics of having it be harvestable easier. So large scale cropping is definitely bad, and that's why like I'm trying my best to do like all the gardening that I have on my channel and stuff. That like I want to convince people to go back to small scale farming and growing your own vegetables in like, you know, your backyard. You really can't get better than that. And if you're doing that and you're doing like composting and all this kind of stuff, I'm confident that you would get all the trace minerals and nutrients and stuff like in the soil, because you're gonna have a healthy soil.
Yeah, I know, like in my area in Northwood and Thunder Bay, like say our area of Thunder Bay compared to Port Arthur, which is like the other side, they have different soil there than we have on our side of town. And there's actually like a map that you can find online that's from like the city that's tested soils around town, and like they can tell you what's good for growing certain vegetables, like say tomatoes won't grow in a certain area in town because of the soil. So like and then you got to go out and buy your own soil. You got to buy a massive amount of it, right? And you got to read the bag to find out if there's like iodine and stuff in the soil. You know what I mean? Like, do they say that on the bags, or I can't figure that out, you know? Yeah,
I think for that, I mean, like iodine, probably the easiest thing you can do is just get iodized salt. And I'm not recommending people eat like lots or tons of it, but like a little bit here and there. Like I don't think it really hurts you. And
what about sea vegetables?
They say that that's a good source too. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. I just very rarely eat like sea vegetables. Like I used to eat a lot of sushi back when I was eating fish, but yeah, like I mean, you could get the nori sheets. I think those supposedly have a decent.
Yeah. Yeah, what I've been getting is I go to this nutrition store and they sell dulse and kelp. And if you read like the label on the dulse, it says it's like 333% iodine per serving. You just take a little bit and you sprinkle it in your smoothie, or say you sprinkle it on like your potatoes or whatever you're eating, and then you would get that. And then you don't have to do the added salt thing.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you guys had seen it. There was a really good interview with like back in the day on Bite Size Vegan, Emily did an interview with Dr. Greger. And it was one of these where he's like walking on his treadmill like while he's talking. And, she had asked him about kind of like the typical deficiencies and like the nutrients of concern that people always bring up. And he raised a good point. And he said that, the thing is, like, back in the early days of kind of modern science, a lot of the illnesses that people were concerned about were from nutritional deficiencies. And it was because we lived in really different times. I mean, people really, like in the old days, the concern was that you really wouldn't have enough to eat. And a lot of times, if that was the case, you could be deficient in various things. But nowadays, that's not the problem. Like, the problem nowadays is people are just getting too much of everything. They're getting too much of animal products, too much saturated fat, too much cholesterol, and then just too much everything, too many calories in general. So even if they're not eating a lot of animal products. So I think, pretty much like, I just don't worry about like deficiencies. Certainly if I felt something was off or like I didn't feel good, then I would certainly, maybe test myself for something or whatever. But I've had blood work tests come back with great results. I've never had issues. So, and I don't track anything. Like, I don't use like Chronometer or anything. Like, I just eat like a huge variety of stuff. Like, I try to eat whatever's in season, and I like eat lots of fruits and veggies, and yeah, like, I just don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
There's a guy named Dr. Tal Oren. I think everybody should watch this guy. He says kind of the same thing as what you're saying, but a little bit different, is that people do get too much calories, right? But they're like empty calories, right? So if you were to have fat, right, say like oils, you're going to be having just the fat, and that's it. Like, it's refined fat. Or if you have animal products, it's like not as micronutrient dense as it would be if you were eating, say, green leafy vegetables or something like that, right? And then not only that, but he talks about the soil a lot too. So it's like you really have to eat a lot of like green leafy vegetables, like in order to get all of the there's like the smaller nutrients that people don't talk about as much, like say lithium and things like that. Like, you need to really be worried about what soil it's coming from, because like say just lithium by itself is responsible for like 30 different functions in your body, and if you don't have enough, like, your body gets screwed up, right? And he goes through a list. There's a video called "Keep Every Cell Alive," and he talks about like weird deficiencies that nobody else really kind of hits on, and it has to do all with soil depletion. So I think people should watch that and should be more concerned about, like, he'll tell people like you should sit down and eat like a whole head of cauliflower and then eat the greens around the cauliflower, and like really like try to not eat these really caloric, like say a sweet potato. A sweet potato is good for you, but it's big and it's a lot of calories, and compared to like leafy greens, there's not as much micronutrients. So you should try to eat more leafy greens, and then maybe sweet potatoes like twice a week or something, right? I don't eat perfect that way. It's just something interesting that you should look into about, because he claims that people are deficient in lots of things, and they really need to be worried, because if you did live, say, in nature, what you were just saying, like a long time ago, and you just walked around foraging, which is what he does, he teaches people how to forage, you would be eating like leafy greens, edible flowers, everything that's around in nature, and just foraging all day, eating these micronutrient dense things out of perfect soil. Nobody eats that way anymore, and it's all calorically dense foods from crappy soil, and that's why everybody needs to go back to micronutrient dense stuff.
Yeah, I find it amazing. Like, there's actually like when you look at your fingernails and you see like the white parts on your fingernails, that's actually the body's way of telling you that you're deficient in certain minerals, which I found to be amazing. That's actually true. Like, I heard that when I was younger, and I thought it was just some like myth or something, but then I actually looked into it. It's actually a form of science. It's actually a real thing. And there's actually different patterns and different thicknesses of the white part and different shapes of it, and that'll tell you exactly what mineral that you're deficient in. And ever since I went vegan, yeah, I know. Same thing with me.
So
man.
If they're tiny, is that good? If they're small, is that good? Or is that bad? I'm gonna die.
No. Like, usually like those white streaks across the middle of your fingernail, like you'll see them. They'll be like pronounced.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the what are those called? The cuticles or whatever?
No. Like you'll see like a little bit like a white chalk mark, like really
I'm good
white.
then.
And it'll be like
All
red.
good.
It'll be right going like horizontal across your fingernail, like the middle of your fingernail. And you'll see
Mine are
it, like,
perfect.
it'll look like a marker, like it'll look like really white, and that's actually
Nice.
It's amazing. Like ever since I went vegan, I noticed when I was younger I had them all over my fingernails. Now I don't have any of it.
What about with your teeth? You know, people have like calcium spots on their teeth. Is that the same idea?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know if that's the same exact thing. I know there's also another field of science that it deals like with looking at your eyes, and they could tell like if you have liver disease just by looking at your eyes or kidneys, or like they could tell like if you have internal like diseases just by looking at the color of your eyes. It's really weird. I forgot what it's called. I forgot the names of them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, like your body just tells you that you're deficient in ways that you don't even know. I find it amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check out the guy that Logan just mentioned, but yeah, just intuitively, I kind of feel that like as a vegan, I definitely eat more variety now than I did before, and I think that's kind of the key too. Like if you just kind of mix it up regularly and just get lots of like fruits and veggies and try to I eat cauliflower, I eat broccoli, I eat Brussels sprouts, like tons of peppers, lots of onions. Like I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I think and then just other stuff too. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I eat a lot of peppers. I love peppers.
Yeah.
So you mentioned onions. What do you think about, say, if you grabbed a raw onion and you just went, it would be like burning your throat. Do you think it's natural human food if it burns your throat and you're like, ah, if you just picked up a raw onion and ate it?
Sort of, because I think some onions, they wouldn't burn your throat. And there's definitely like sweet varieties, and also like green onions, like you can definitely eat those just raw the way they are, and
Yeah.
it doesn't bother you. So like chives and smaller green onions, those are like really good raw. So I don't know, like I would still say they're fine. And then the other thing is that with an onion, supposedly, I've never tried this, but supposedly if you just like hold your nose so you're not smelling them, if you just close your eyes and eat it, you'll think it's an apple, apparently.
Oh, weird. So you would think like if you walked up to an onion patch, like if you were foraging, 1,000 years ago, that you could just pick up like 5 onions and just have a meal.
I don't think it would be my preferred meal, but if I were like scavenging through the woods and like that was what I found for the day, like yeah, maybe.
Have you heard of like say in onions and garlic they have there's a thing called allicin that is like an antibiotic that destroys your gut bacteria? Have you looked into that?
No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I don't know. The debate is out on garlic and onions.
I mean, I never mono-meal them or anything, so it's not like that. But yeah, I like cook with them. So like usually I put stuff like I'll use them as seasoning and like cook other sautéed veggies and stuff like that. And I'll start with like onions. Same thing.
So what do you think about herbs or spices? Do you think they're food or medicine?
I think they're both. And I think they're some of the best things you can eat. If you read like Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die, like, I mean, he's got I think it's like a whole chapter on herbs. And there's just like tons and tons of like health benefits and nutrients that you can get from the herbs.
Yeah, so if you think of like health benefits, right? So if you look at wine, right? Red wine thins your blood, has a health benefit to not having a stroke. Does that mean red wine's healthy? Like, if you look at say turmeric, right? Health benefits, but then also pitfalls, side effects.
I've never heard of any pitfalls from turmeric. What are they? And like at what doses?
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but just look up turmeric side effects. You'll find there's probably an abundance of videos and blogs.
It would probably have to
there.
be in like really high doses, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, have you ever tried eating raw turmeric? Like picked one up, it looks like a dirty carrot. Right?
I do,
if
yeah.
You eat it,
yeah.
It's like dust. It's like dust in your mouth, and it just tastes disgusting.
No, that's if you powder it. If you powder it, it's actually.
Yeah, I know. Like that's what I'm talking about. Have you ever chewed the root? Because I heard in a running thing that it's good for inflammation. So I bought the roots and I tried eating them, and they're just absolutely disgusting. They're just like, so I don't know. Like, I don't think if something tastes horrible, I don't think it's human food. You know?
Okay, I mean, I don't like make a meal of turmeric, so like, I don't know, like I just sprinkle some in there, and you know when I'm eating. But I haven't heard of any side effects, so I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing with taste is like kind of subjective because I put a slice of raw turmeric down sometimes and I eat it like that, and it's good.
Yeah, think about this for a sec though, right? So if you went to a tree, right, that was filled with say mangoes or something, right? Mangoes or bananas, whatever it may be, and you ate say 30 bananas, right? You probably won't eat 30, but you ate 15. Is there going to be side effects? No. Is it going to be healthy? Yeah. Right. So I mean that's human food because you could survive off of it, right? But if you found any of these other things, you couldn't eat them. You couldn't eat a whole meal of them and be full. And like you just said, if you ate too much, there's a problem. So how does that equal human food?
Well, I don't know. Again, I'll look into the turmeric, but I've never heard of it posing a problem, even at any level. So I don't know that. I'm just saying, like, potentially, I could imagine that it would, you know, potentially cause a problem.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
that you mentioned, like, I think if you read Gregor's book, like he basically makes the case that the alcohol in it is bad regardless. And if you actually got alcohol-free wine or like basically grape juice, you would get all the health benefits because you're getting it from the polyphenols and the other like antioxidants that are in there, and you're not getting the detriment of the alcohol.
Yeah, maybe that. I mean, like, there's probably some loopholes, right? Like, so I think potatoes are kind of like a health loophole because potatoes are just by default very similar to what fruit is. So fruit is like the same as a potato, but you just break down the starch and it turns into a simple sugar, which is what a fruit is. So just by default, it's basically human food by accident. You know what I mean? Like, but there is still side effects, but they're very, very minor. They're very minimal, right? So it's almost like, you know what I mean? That's fine. But then everything else that's kind of away from that, there's going to be more and more side effects, and it's going to be nastier to where you can't eat a whole meal of it.
I can kind of see that. Wotan, you had a point too. I cut you off.
I forgot what I was gonna say. I think I was gonna say like if you eat too much of anything, you know, it'd be bad for you. If you drink too much water, you get water poisoning. If you know, and if you eat too much turmeric, you know, I'm pretty sure there's some side effects. But I'm pretty sure people back then weren't making a meal out of turmeric. They would probably just pick the root of it and just take a chunk out of it. You know, I'm pretty sure there's minerals and certain nutrients in certain foods that you're not supposed to eat too much of it. But if you eat just a little bit and you get the health benefits from it, then it's, you know, it's good for you.
Okay, let me answer that. Let me hit on that there for a second. So if you're a person who's in nature walking around hungry, right? What a person, like how they develop memory is because they needed to remember where things were, like where trees were, and they'd walk a little bit, then there's another tree, oh, I remember where that is and stuff like that. You wouldn't remember like, oh, there's this tiny little thing of turmeric over here. I need to go back there and only eat a tiny little bit every day for health benefits. You would never think that because that wouldn't even cross your mind about health benefits. You're just trying to satiate yourself by eating an entire meal to where you feel full and it's edible and it tastes good and all that type of stuff, right? You'd be naturally drawn to it. And there's a difference too besides like, you know, you have too much and you die, like water intoxication compared to eating until you're satiated. You couldn't eat turmeric until you're satiated, but you could eat melon until you're satiated. Right? That's the difference.
All right.
Logan, I would reply to that though. If you look at a dog, right? Like dogs will do this regularly where they eat something, they're not feeling right, they'll go and they'll chew on grass or some specific types of plants or weeds, and they'll use it to basically like throw up. So they definitely know like the medicine.
Well,
so medicine, right? Yeah. So that's what I was getting at. So if you had something wrong with you, right, then you might rely on like nature's medicine of like herbs and spices. But other than that, it wouldn't be a daily meal.
Okay, I mean, I could kind of see that. But I just think like, you know, you might still be getting some benefit by consuming little bits of it here and there.
Yeah. So
but would you be getting more benefits by just eating healthy regularly? You know what I mean? instead of having to rely on medicine to cure you from something that you should have not been doing?
Wotan, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that, you know, animals in the wild, they'll frequently eat, you know, the scat of other animals or themselves, you know, just because they're, you know, people say that because they're missing certain nutrients or something, you know, so, and just because it tastes terrible, you know, they know it tastes terrible, but they know what their body needs, probably more than humans, I would imagine.
Yeah. So then that wouldn't be their food source. That would be survival food. So like, say that's what meat is for humans. Like meat is not human food; it's survival food.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would say the same thing.
Nice.
You know, I think we discovered the health benefits of turmeric, you know, with science, you know, nowadays. I mean, I'm pretty sure the ancients back then knew the health benefits of it, but they didn't understand it fully. But now that we know that it's actually, I think you need to actually have black pepper with turmeric in order to unlock its full potential, I've heard.
Yeah, that's correct. I think
Yeah.
it increases the uptake of it by the body by something like 100% or something.
Right, the absorption of it,
Yeah.
you know, stuff in it.
So I'll throw out some random questions for you guys here. If you had to pick between rice or beans as a meal separately, which one would you pick and why?
Hey, come on, I'm Dominican. I can't have rice and beans separate. I can't have that separate, man. No way.
Which one do you think would be healthier though, and like better for you to eat a giant meal of?
Oof, I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, I would go with beans. Yeah. I mean,
Anybody else?
For more vitamins and nutrients, you essentially get from beans than what you get from rice.
I think if you're just doing the one meal, like just health and satiety, I think I would go with the beans too. But taste-wise, I would definitely rather eat a bowl of rice than just a bowl of beans.
It doesn't depend on which bean. There's some beans that are delicious.
I love beans. I mean, don't get me wrong. I just still think, like, just taste-wise, like, I'll sometimes eat a bowl of rice just by itself. Like, I love rice.
That's probably because it's higher in like the sugars, right? I guess depending on which rice would be just more like well, white rice obviously is going to be more simple sugar.
Yeah, it just tastes nice.
But yeah, I was just thinking, you know, like mostly grains. They argue that grains aren't even meant to be human food. Like the rice nowadays, you know, there's a lot of books out there like the Grain Brain and all these things, and they say, you know, what is it, 10,000 years, something like that. People have been, I don't know the exact number. People have been monocropping these grains and changed them and everything, and they're not really suitable.
Right,
for humans.
If it's not a human food anymore, that doesn't mean that it wasn't a human food back then. I'm pretty sure back then it was definitely a human food, but since we've been destroying you know, the world and monocropping and GMOs and all that stuff and changing the content and meat, that it's become unhealthy.
Yeah, there's a select few like millet, spelt, quinoa, stuff like that are amaranth that have been around forever, but all the rest that are pretty new. And it's kind of like dairy. The dairy situation, why humans can't handle dairy very well is because it's a new thing, right? They're not adapted to eating them, but beans are more adapted to than grains, I would think.
Well, I think definitely people have been eating both for really long times, and then even like the complementary protein myth, where people used to think that you had to eat them in combination to get enough protein. They complement each other really well, because the ones that are low in one of the amino acids, the other one is high, and so they pretty much make like a flat profile. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think just eating both would be good. I'm with Wotan.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got no problem with like any like brown rice or anything like that?
No, I definitely eat rice. I even eat white rice sometimes. Like, there's a lot of the brown rice that I get around here in Hungary. Like, people, like when I was living in Boston, I used to get brown rice and wild rice all the time, and you could get really nice, like awesome, like black wild rice. And like here, I just haven't been able to find like really good rice. I think like the brown rice that I tend to find is just like really bad quality. It's not like cleaned well at all. So like you just get all this like the green like parts that are still on there and totally unedible. It's just like nasty. So lately I've just been buying white rice.
What about, like, have you heard of that grains build up mucus in your stomach lining, and then you can get ulcers and things like that? Have you heard of that?
I mean, I've kind of heard of some of these things, but I've never really like believed them because I don't know. Like I kind of just go by more like I don't know, Dr. Greger's kind of stuff, and he always praises them and says that they're good for you. And I've never felt sick. I've never felt bad. I also don't eat that many grains, so like I mean, even if I have them like as part of a meal, like I'm always having tons of other stuff to go with it. It's not just like it's very rare that I'll just sit down and just eat like just grains.
Yeah, but that could be correlated with the gluten content, the higher gluten content in grains nowadays, and not so much with the the innate nature of grains the way they were back then.
Mm-hmm. I've heard like any cooked food leaves mucus in your stomach lining, and especially like white potatoes and grains, things like that. I don't know. That's what I've heard.
I mean, I'd want to see that. Like, if you have any kind of like research like on it, I'll definitely look at it. But I just, you know, like, I don't really see a huge line of people having like ulcers because they're eating grains. Like, I don't know.
What do you think about cooked foods versus raw foods?
I eat a fair bit of cooked foods. Like, I don't know. Like, I would say probably half my calories at least come from cooked foods. So I definitely personally don't think there's anything like bad about it. People that I think follow like a fully raw diet, I think just from the people that I've known personally, and I don't want to make this a generalization, but simply based on the people that I know, I think they haven't done very well on them. I think it's a little bit harder to get enough calories. Yeah, that's kind of my main concern, is that you're going to be like eating all day long to get enough calories. And
yeah, that's what I was going to say about the raw food, is that like you just don't get enough calories on it because like, I don't know, if I eat like raw broccoli, which I just ate yesterday, actually just raw broccoli with some salt and lemon, like I can't eat nearly as much as I could have if it was steamed.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an actual argument towards the health argument of raw foods. I think that's more of an argument towards how society is set up now, where people just don't have enough time because they have to work and do all these things in their day, where they don't have enough time to just, you know, eat throughout the day. And you know, like say you go to work, you only get a certain amount of, you know, 2 15-minute breaks in a half hour. By the time you're done your half-hour lunch break, you just finished cutting up your watermelon or whatever it is, right? And then you haven't even touched it yet. And yeah, I think if you had less things to do in a day and you could just kind of eat throughout the day, it'd be a lot better. But yeah, I don't see that as a health argument against the raw foods, though.
I wasn't really making one. I mean, I wasn't saying that it's unhealthy. It's just like I'm just looking at it from like a practical standpoint. I just think it's.
So if somebody used that argument for meat, would that be a good argument, though? Right? I don't have time. I got to go to Mickey D's. I only got 15 minutes, you know, to swing by the drive-through, stuff my face with a quarter pounder.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, there's no victim of like me cooking potatoes, though. I mean, like with the victim of the animal. So it's a little bit different. But I get what you're saying. Like from a health standpoint, is it a good argument? No. But you know, I just think like. I don't know, like where I am in my life and what I have time for, I certainly haven't made time to try a raw diet. I eat a lot of raw foods. I mean, if I just roughly guessed, I would probably guess I eat about half of my calories raw. Just because I eat tons of like fruits. I eat about like 5 or 6 fruits a day, every day pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously way healthier to eat raw food. I mean, you know, because I do know that there's certain enzymes in plants that, you know, that are destroyed when you cook it. But
and
like
hydration's a big one too.
Yeah, if you're trying to get a certain body weight, like if you're trying to bulk up, there's no way that's going to happen on a raw food diet, on a raw plant diet.
Well, no, I mean, that's not true. So you know who Alex Caceres is, the UFC fighter? He's like one of the highest UFC fighters right now on the main cards, and he's almost a fully raw vegan. He says he eats 95% raw, and
Really?
he says he feels bad every time he eats a cooked meal because his friends force him to or something like that, and so he tries to eat all raw. There's a guy named Nig Madeline. He is a world-class strongman. I think he's from Russia. He's like a 4-time Russian strongman winner, and he has a world record for pulling houses. He's entirely raw fruitarian. And then there's a world-class arm wrestler who's an Olympic heavyweight arm wrestler named Vovoda, who's also a raw vegan. So there's high-level raw vegans out there, heavyweights in these.
Yeah, but they could
high
be
sports.
eating they could be drinking protein shakes, which is also raw, and they can still be considered raw.
There's
know?
gray areas. Yeah, like I go to the grocery store and they have like sauce there that says like raw sauce, and it's like all olive oil. So it's like I don't know how you consider that raw.
Well, it could
Weird.
be cold pressed, as they say, but I think even that is not like true. It's like a marketing gimmick. But no, I would just say this to the raw thing, that like, you know, again, like practical, like just sort of from a practical standpoint, like, you know, I know Logan, you know him, but I don't know if the other guys know him, like Mike Arnstein. He's like a fruitarian runner, and the guy has done incredible stuff, and, you know, very elite, like running races, super long, you know, 100-mile plus races, and he's done amazing stuff. And he's a fruitarian, so he eats like, you know, 90 whatever percent like fruits, and then he eats like some green, you know, leafy greens and stuff. But even that guy, you know, he was living in like New York. And eventually he just up and moved to Hawaii because he said it was just getting too damn expensive for him to keep eating like the fruits and veggies that he was buying. So, I mean, you look at his fridge and it's like mangoes, papayas, you know, whatever, like just loaded with fruit and the occasional like lettuce. But like you try buying that in like, you know, some northern climate, like that's really expensive, man. Like, I mean, there's only so many mangoes and apricots and whatever that you're going to buy in like Canada, for example. Like,
Can you still hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, my phone's gonna cut out any second now, just so you know. It's almost dead. It's going black. Yeah, Michael Armstein's got a hack where he goes to Whole Foods stores and then he bought 2 fridges from yard sales or something, right? And he keeps them in his basement. Then he goes to the Whole Foods supplier and he buys boxes that they're about to throw out, and then he puts them in the old fridges downstairs. And so he's got like all these hacks that he uses to get tons of fruit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just, again, like, you know, practical standpoint. I mean, you can buy like grains and beans and you can keep them forever, basically. Like, it's just easier. And I haven't really been convinced that there's any real health like downside. So until I maybe am convinced of that, like I just can't really see myself going to a raw diet personally.
Well, what do you think about, say, 75% of people are dehydrated and any cooked food is dehydrating? Isn't that an issue?
I don't know that I even believe that cooked food is dehydrating. I mean, I can give a pretty anecdotal like thing that is very interesting. When I was eating an omnivorous diet, I used to drink a ton of water every day. So ever since I've been kind of concerned with my health, so going back, I don't know, 10, 15 years, everybody says, oh, drink lots of water. And I used to drink anywhere between, I don't know, 4 and 5 liters of water a day for sure. And then in addition to that, I would drink like a liter of milk, and I was drinking like another liter of tea. So, I mean, I was drinking like maybe at least 5 to maybe 7 or 8 liters of water or liquid, I would say, like within a day. And sometimes when I would go on long runs, I would drink even more than that. So it was just an insane amount of water. And when I went to a vegan diet, a whole food plant-based diet, I noticed that I can't drink that much water anymore. I drink so much less water. I almost never drink more than maybe 3 or 4 liters a day now. Sometimes I'll go like half the day and just realize like, oh shoot, I haven't drank anything today. But it's because I'm like eating so many fruits and veggies, and I think also just the absence of the meat and the animal products. I think that took a lot of water to digest that stuff. So like I don't drink as much, and even after a long run, I'll just not need as much water.
Yeah, the quality of water though too is different. Like, so the fruits have living water, right, that are filled with it's like a whole plant food, right, and it's filtered through the xylem and then contains all sorts of nutrients. When you have other water, you basically put this crappy water in you and it flushes out your nutrients, right? So there's a difference though too, like within the waters.
Distilled water, I heard, is the best.
It depends on who you listen to, though,
water.
right? Because, Wotan, some people will say that that's the most dead water, right? So, like, you get all these people who are drinking from streams and whatever, and they'll tell you that that's the best. But I've also heard, like, filtered rainwater is really healthy to drink.
That's what I was doing. Yep. So we can put it in.
Anthony, could you say that again? I missed what you said.
Because like you were saying of something about like filter water, like how you basically just take like regular sink water and put it into like a filter, really just like eliminates all bacteria.
Yeah, I mean, I try to collect rainwater from the garden, so I've definitely been convinced that the best thing you can water your plants with is rainwater. But I've also heard that like it's actually really beneficial to drink that if you can just properly filter it, make sure you're not getting any bacteria or whatever.
Right.
But it's definitely better than most groundwater, because groundwater tends to be hard. It has a lot of additional minerals and stuff that are not necessarily good for you.
And I guess it depends where you live, if the rainwater quality, right? Because if you're living in New York City like me, I'm pretty sure the rainwater here is terrible.
Yeah.
You don't really want to be drinking that.
But
I'd
even
have to filter it out.
Yeah, like even there, I think if you have like some good filters, you might still be better off than drinking groundwater from New York. Like
Right.
You said what about groundwater?
So I think the groundwater, they say like can have certain minerals that are not beneficial to you, so they could be like harming you.
Okay, so you think it could be toxic?
I don't know if it's like that bad. I mean, like take anything I say with a grain of salt. Like I don't think it's. I mean, you need water, so like I'm not gonna worry about it. Like I drink tap water. Like I don't know. I mean. But just like we're talking about, like ideal situation, I think like if you were like in a nice like natural area and you could collect rainwater and just like filter that, I think that would be the best.
Yeah, I actually seen some video of a scientist going in on like how terrible tap water is, and like all of these pipes that are underground. They've been underground for like hundreds of years. Some of them, and they never get cleaned, and you're just drinking straight out of that. It's like, and then he had like a giant like 5-gallon glass container of this tap water, and it just had all this sediment and stuff in it. And it was like, and he's like, that's going through your liver every 5 years. That's how much of contamination is going through your body when you're drinking tap water. He was basically making the argument for distilled water, and then just add like minerals after that, because you need some minerals in the water. Like you just put like a drop or two of these, like this mineral solution or something.
I think that's a better argument for watermelon. I think that's I think people should just eat watermelon.
Yeah, we'll just eat fruits.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely drink less water now. Really, I mean, I just it's a huge difference, and maybe that's better.
What do you think? So even if the food is dehydrating though, and you drink water, like say you made rice, like rice is dehydrated, right? And then you put that in your body, and then you have to drink water. That's like something pulling from your reservoir, and then you're having to fix it with something else, right? So you're having to pull water out of your reservoir to neutralize it in your body, and then drink water to replace it. Like that's pretty inefficient, right? And then it also makes your body do extra effort.
Well, but you're cooking the rice in water, so like you get a lot of water from that, and then generally speaking, I mean, most people don't eat just rice. So like if I make rice, I'm gonna have like a bunch of sautéed veggies. Or maybe just raw stuff too. Sometimes I'll chop up peppers or other things to go in there. And even if you're sautéing them or steaming them, like that still has a lot of moisture left too. So like, I don't know. I don't ever really feel thirsty after eating rice.
So is this science? Is this
super salty?
Is this science, or is it just it works for me?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not claiming it's science. I'm saying like if you have science, send it to me because I'll gladly read it. But
Yeah,
Like,
no, I would say
I'm not
rice definitely has a
messing.
good amount of water in it because rice, when you cook it in the water, it
It
increases in
absorbs.
size by like 2 times because of all the water that's inside of it. So
Yeah,
it's
but
not
it's
it's
still
not totally
dehydrating
dehydrated.
though, right? Like it'll still suck in more water, right? Like because like if you left rice out in a thing of water, it'll just get more and more and more soaked into the rice. You know what I mean?
Right, well, it's
Like
going to
the
contain the water. It's going to be inside the
yeah.
rice.
So even when the rice is cooked though, and you think it's cooked and you put it in your body, it'll still suck more water into the rice and still dehydrate you.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't feel thirsty, so I don't know. And if you have something that proves it, like science-wise, I'll look at it. But
All right. Conscientious omnivore debunked video coming tomorrow.
but it's not a debunking, man, because I'm not claiming anything. I'm saying I'm open.
just
I'm
joking.
open to listening to it because I really don't know. But I've never heard of people getting dehydrated from eating like cooked food.
Huh. Well,
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I got a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
Would-
shoot, Anthony.
Yeah. So would you essentially say that you would get more of the amount of vitamins and nutrients from eating it raw than cooking it, and they're in different variations?
for sure.
For sure. Okay.
And
Yeah,
I
if you ate
I would
something
say that
raw-
for most things,
Go ahead.
that's true. But for certain things, you actually increase the vitamin content by cooking or steaming. So I
Yeah,
know
but that's-
some
Usually-
greens
I
are
usually
like an exception.
broccoli or like carrots.
Yeah. And tomatoes too. You get more lycopene when you cook them.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Tomatoes and lycopene. You get more of the antioxidant by cooking it.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
in general, generally speaking, you do get more nutrients by eating it raw, but not everything. So there are some exceptions. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, so tomatoes, carrots, and spinach, if you cook them, there's one thing in each one that becomes more bioavailable, but then the rest of them don't. So you might get more beta carotene or whatever it is from cooking carrots, but then you lose other elements from the carrots.
I wouldn't
what I mean?
argue that. I don't know, but certainly possible. I think my big thing is that when people say you're losing the nutrients by cooking it, my only counter argument is that there's still so much in there that it doesn't really matter. Like, so if you cut it in half, you're still just getting so much of an abundance that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, like, whatever you're losing from the carrots, you're getting it from eating all the other stuff that we're eating anyway, from the nuts and the seeds and we're not just eating carrots. We're eating, vegans are eating so many different plants and grains and rice and fruits and vegetables that it's all complementing each other. So whatever we're losing from cooking this one thing, we're going to get it later on from eating something else.
Yeah, and in the case of broccoli, like you said, Wotan, like I've eaten lots of raw broccoli too. Like back in the day when I was actually eating Atkins, I used to eat broccoli and mayonnaise together, and
Wow.
Oh, wow.
it was crazy. It actually tastes really good. So maybe just get some vegan mayonnaise and eat like raw broccoli and mayonnaise. It's like
I
an
like to take
awesome taste.
broccoli and dip it in hummus.
Yeah, that would be good too. But my point is this, right? So like if you're eating raw broccoli, there's only so much you can eat because you're gonna get tired and just like I don't know, it just
Yeah,
like
you
really
feel physically tired when you eat
Yeah,
raw
yeah.
food, man. You really do.
Yeah, but so let's say like you steam it and you drop the nutrient to whatever half, let's say. But if you can eat twice as much because it's twice as easy to eat it, then like you're still at the same place. So like that's why I think like I just don't think that that's a compelling argument to eat raw.
Right.
Yeah. That sounds reasonable.
And the enzymes that you're losing, the enzymes are just there to help you digest it. But if you're cooking it, it's already easier to digest to begin with. So.
But with all that said, I certainly wouldn't discourage anybody from like
No,
wanting
right.
to eat raw. So like if you want to, like I got no problem with that. Like I don't think it's unhealthy. I don't think it's unethical. I don't think there's anything like bad about it. It's just like I just don't really see any kind of compelling reason for me to do it.
Right. As long as we're vegan, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's all good.
exactly. Yeah. So guys, I think pretty soon I'm gonna need to wrap it up. I'm just quickly scanning through.
And I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Anthony.
Let's just say someone who's trying to, let's just say, lose weight on a plant-based diet. Would it be recommended for them to go on a low-carb vegan diet? Kind of like a ketogenic diet?
Logan, do you know about that? Because I think you've had some videos on that, didn't you?
I think his battery died.
Oh, okay, we may have lost him.
He told, yeah, like low on battery.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I've seen some stuff about that on various pages. I think maybe like Mike the Vegan, I think, had some stuff on that. I don't know if there's any proof that you would lose more weight than just eating a regular kind of whole food plant-based. So like probably what's considered a high carb diet. I don't want anybody to quote me on this though, because I don't remember it 100% sure. But I think it was Mike the Vegan. I'm pretty sure he had a video on it. So
I watched a couple of his videos. I think it was like I think it was Richard Vegan Gains who was kind of talking about it when he was doing worst of the fitness industry, and then he basically was talking about how versus the ketogenic diet versus the plant-based low carb diet, the low carb diet for the plant-based had more inefficient, better than the ketogenic diet.
I could imagine that, but I wonder how it compares to like just a regular whole food plant-based diet. It's probably similar.
Vegan keto.
It's a thing. Yeah, some people have done it.
Yeah.
But everyone that I've seen that has like posted a summary of it, they've all basically said that they didn't like it. I mean, I just don't think it's good to be in ketosis. I've been in ketosis when I was on Atkins, and I was miserable. I wanted to kill myself. I mean, it was like
that like, you know, the carnivores like to say that the vegan diet is the starvation diet. I would say no, the ketogenic diet is actually the starvation diet. You're actually starving. That's actually what it is. That's why you're losing weight, because your body is eating itself.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, dude.
Yeah.
So it's like the ketogenic diet is like what I've learned is like you lack the vitamins and nutrients such as like fiber, vitamin C, and vitamin E.
If you're doing a typical meat keto diet, you probably are going to be deficient.
I noticed like someone tells me they take MCT oil, so it's like they would have to take that if they're on a ketogenic diet. I don't know why.
I don't even know what that is. What is MCT?
Like coconut oil.
Oh, okay. Because of the vitamin E. Like, I think it has vitamin E. Okay. I mean, maybe, but I think a better source of vitamin E is going to be like your, basically colorful like fruits and veggies. Things like purple cabbage and, everything like eggplant and stuff like that. Like, that's going to be a better source. And you're going to get a whole bunch of nutrients and vitamins and minerals and stuff that you're not going to get from the oil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I mean, I would say to anybody, if you're going to like look into keto, I mean, like look at some of the people who've done it and just see like how they feel, because like I can tell you
from it.
Yeah. I mean, I personally felt like crap on it. It was
they had a hard time like pooping. So I was like, oh, okay. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. That's never a good sign.
Yeah. Do you have any debates coming up?
Yeah, we're trying to set one up actually with Logan and an antinatalist guy.
Oh God, I have to be there for that.
Wait, who's Antinatalist? I'm sorry. How do you pronounce his name again? Antinatalist? Like you said?
Antinatalist.
Antinatalist. Okay.
Yeah.
And what does he want to discuss?
Well, I think we're going to be debating antinatalism itself. So, the channel name is In Mendem.
Okay.
It's a pretty popular channel. He's got over 10,000 subs, so like he's huge compared to me.
I mean, these people are just the most defeatist people on the face of the earth. They're just the most despicable. I think the antinatalists are just some of the most despicable people I've ever heard in my life. They're just ridiculous. I mean, the things that they say is just absolutely absurd.
Hey, that's my question.
You know what it is?
What?
Antinatalism?
No.
It's people who are against people having birth, and not only people but animals also. They feel that every animal and every human being should be sterilized on the face of the earth.
What the fuck? Okay.
This is where we're at right now. This is the level of idiocracy and just psychopathy that we're at nowadays, where people just think that something is so natural.
It depends on who you talk to, right? Because there are different like strains. So I think some people that are antinatalists are I guess like misanthropic, so they hate people and whatever. But then some people are saying that it's more compassionate because it's actually cruel to bring another human being into existence where you can't guarantee that they won't have negative experiences. So I think that's kind of another like way that some of these people will argue it. And I'm not sure where this guy stands exactly, but
Is he like against like? Does he support pro-abortion? Is that what you're trying to like?
No. I don't think it's pro-abortion. It's more like it's actually like you should never even get pregnant to begin with. Like you should not want to procreate. Like people should just like basically die off. And I don't know, like it's just
absolutely ridiculous. Like, what the hell's the point of life then? This is what we're. It just makes no sense to me at all. It's like
we like progress throughout our lives. It's like we've already like, you know, done things in the past that were not like, you know, good. It's like we have to like, you know, move on.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the debate because it's not something that I know too much about. I'm actually just researching it now. I've casually kind of looked into it before to kind of because I've had some people like commenting on things on various videos. I mean, I'm definitely anti-natalist. I don't know whatever that makes me, but like I just want to make sure that I can formulate a decent argument against it, and I think I've got some good stuff to say about it. So we'll see, but I'm looking forward to it. I think that should be a good one.
Yeah, it's just such an extremely defeatist position. It just goes against. I mean, these people are actually also pro-evolution, so they feel that the survival of the fittest and all of that. So you're really going against, you know, if you believe in evolution, you're really going against what evolution is telling you what you should be doing. And it's, I don't know. I would love to crush an anti-natalist. I would love to. I'm going to be there for that.
Cool.
Yeah, I like to hear what they have to say, so it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
In the chat, I'm him, he's me, just said it makes you a pro-natalist. So yes, I guess I'm a pro-natalist instead of an anti-natalist.
There you go.
Yeah. So we'll see. That should be interesting. I think that's happening on Wednesday. We're just trying to confirm that. So we'll see. But I'll let everybody know. And yeah, this was kind of fun. I don't know. Like it was interesting because we were supposed to have the debate, and you know, Anthony's gonna hook me up with the contact directly. So we might still set that up, but it'll have to be a little bit later because this upcoming weekend I've got a big race coming up, and I'm going to be pretty much unavailable for like 3 days. So and then after that week, I don't know. We'll see when we can set that up again. But this Wednesday, that should be happening. So that'll be the next big debate.
Awesome.
Cool. Wotan, it was good having you on, man. It was fun.
Yeah.
And Anthony, same thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was really nice. Like, you know, like this is actually my first time actually having discussions on YouTube. So it's like, it was fun having this type of experience. So it's like, I definitely learned something new. I'll definitely take that into consideration. But yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah. But definitely like setting up that debate with her because right now it's just like, I don't know what's going on with her. So
yeah, we'll try to make it happen. It should be good.
Happen, so it's like
cool. And for everybody in the debate, thanks for sticking around. And hopefully it wasn't too annoying for people who came in on time. But yeah, thanks everybody. And we'll say goodnight here. And enjoy the rest of the day.
Ciao, guys.
See you guys. Bye.
Yep.